As we said in previous videos, the elections are around the corner. One of the things you need to do, it's September, and you still have time, is to invest a little time, maybe a weekend or a day off, and do a little research. Research the people who you are looking to vote for. Are they the people you want in office? Are they going to represent you properly? Are they going to follow the rule of law? Because what we saw over the summer was a lot of insanity. And not only in the United States, across the world. And also part of it is on the mainstream media. Because unfortunately, if you ever see V for Vendetta, and the scene where they had the character that basically was the media guy or the newscaster, but it was more of a propaganda mill. This is what happens when you have a government that, and I'll say it out, that is a socialist ideology, and we're talking total socialism, communists, because basically what they're going to do is they're going to project what the government wants you to hear. And this is why you've seen the change in CNN that's going on right now. Is it going to change for the better? I don't know. That's up to the new CEO over CNN and David Zaslav. But when you look at the time that I took off, I also was looking at a lot of the media overseas, especially in countries like Australia, over at ABC, not the American Broadcasting Network. Australia has their own version, which is the Australian Broadcast Network, and and a couple of other channels over there that broadcast news, and you see the subtle differences between them, and what they discuss, and what stories they consider important, and you see the censorship, you see the propaganda mill just grinding away. And the thing about it is, when it comes to a situation, and I have to be careful at this point, because I don't want YouTube to kick this video out, but when certain things come up medically, okay, and a narrative is pushed in one direction without any science to back it, there becomes a problem. You may cause the deaths of many people for that. People might not get the proper medical help that they do need, or in some cases that they don't need. And that's been a problem the last 2 years. I myself, I've had my medical issues, and I've been actually through the entire, since I was released out of the rehabilitation center, and that was at the edge of the beginning of the pandemic. I've been here home. I've been, I haven't left my home other than to sit on my porch on the outside. I haven't gone to the park. I haven't seen anything. It's a twofold situation on there. My health, doesn't let me get out the door properly. It's using a walker or a cane to the situation, transportation everywhere. But then again, also, I have to be careful for, that I don't catch the beer bug either, because I do have blood clots in my leg. And that could cause greater health risks to myself. But there are other things in life that basically are out there, that have been out there for a long time. One thing, sexually transmitted diseases. We've seen this many times before, and it goes all the way back to the wars. That there's always a situation where you hear a situation that sexually transmitted disease becomes a problem. And places that are isolated, like Australia, the disease can run a little bit more rampant, because it has nowhere to go. Now, you may ask yourself, what does it have to tie in with the mainstream media, misinformation, all that crazy fun? Well, sometimes the media likes to create boogeymen where there isn't boogeymen on there by putting the blame where the blame is supposed to be. In this case, in Australia, with their sexually transmitted crisis that they have in their country, besides the pandemic issues, Australia public broadcaster ABC blames online porn for STI crisis.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
And this is off of XBiz. The government-funded Australian Broadcast Corporation published a stigmatizing report Wednesday alleging a supposed link between a current STI epidemic and online pornography. National Public Broadcaster ABC sensationalized-led report with the shocking, if true, claim that watching porn is leading to an increase in the number of young people having unprotected sex and contracting gonorrhea and other sexually transmitted infections. The only source in support of this claim, however, was one sexual health care nurse and educator named Vanessa Hamilton, who was promoting her business, Talking the Talk Healthy Sexual Education. This apparent plausibility of actual expertise on the subject would be seemingly explain why ABC deployed the passive voice in its headline, Online Porn Blamed for the Jump in Gonorrhea Infections as Race for Vaccine Heats Up. Hamilton told ABC reporters Nicole Dreyer and Tom Forbes that pornography was the only avenue many young people used to learn about sex. We really need to look at the broad picture when it comes to sexual education. When I ask parents where are our kids getting their information from, they say TikTok, pornography, YouTube. Hardly anyone says parents, home, or school. According to the article, Hamilton has spent 25 years working as a sex health nurse, and this has led her to conclude that many young people were watching pornography, which often involves penetration without the use of condoms. We really need to eroticize condoms in an engaging way for young people, Hamilton stated, without specifying who she meant by we or how her mandate of eroticizing prophylactics might be enacted. The fear and danger approach of don't get a sexually transmitted infection or don't get pregnant doesn't really resonate, Hamilton added. And ABC then interviewed Kate Seaby, an associate professor at Griffin University and a principal researcher at the University Institute for Glycomics. Seaby, an actual expert on STDs, spoke at length about the island's nation's gonorrhea epidemic, but no point suggested any link between STIs and watching adult content online. See, this is more censorship bullshit that goes on. This is where, people attack. You've seen shit like this in the movie 1984. If you read or if you read George Orwell, or see, like I said, or if you've seen the movie V for Vendetta, you see shit like this on there where they demonize one particular thing or person or persons. And this happens, it's happening here too. It happens here in the US. You demonize someone and say, oh, they're evil, they're bad, they're racist, they're this, they're that, they're white supremacist, stuff like that. And then you have situations where you have, oh, anime, that's cheese pizza. We can't have that. We have porn sites like Pornhub that, has a lot of cheese pizza in it and it needs to go away. But see, all of this is talking through their ass. And because basically you see, it's only a woman that deals with sexually transmitted disease who's a nurse. You know, she's not a researcher, she's not a doctor, she's a nurse. Okay? And she says, well, that people in the adult industry don't use condoms. There are, and I will say this, there are films that basically, as the terminology bear back, that the gentleman does not use a condom. But most of this industry does use condoms. Now, you may not see it. Are you paying attention to the penetration? I mean, you got to remember, it's edited. It's edited in certain ways. And especially with the 80s AIDS crisis, I think there has been a more emphasis to using condoms on the porn sets to this day. You know, you have porn actresses like Sharon Mitchell, who has been working as a doctor in the industry to help porn actors and actresses get through these situations on here. Now, if you remember back a bit, we had a video and we discussed a little bit about this on pornography. And this is going back to the story where the Ireland politician who basically is out of touch as far as who's watching porn. And we had said, women, dominate the industry as far as watching at points more pornography than men. And this is not something that's been overnight. This is for many, many years. And we had that Cosmopolitan thing that was running in Time magazine that when you look at it from a perspective, and I'll just bring to some of the important parts of it, 7 out of 10 men watch stuff on porn they wouldn't do in real life, which is a comfort consideration of some of the funky porn genres on the internet. 7 out of every 50 women like to watch things they wouldn't do themselves. Another part of it, 8% of men prefer self-gratification and watching porn than to performing real life sex. This is some of the things that you have to look at when it comes to the reality, to the facts. And these are numbers that have been around for many decades now. They're trying to demonize pornography. They're trying to demonize things that they're trying to blame, when actually the blame, they have to look at themselves in the mirror to the blame itself. Because basically, they say, well, our kids are not learning porn from families. Well, that's the family. If the parents don't want to teach it, this is the other reason why, biology in schools is very important. And biology is not only sex education. There are many different things on biology that is important to learn. People don't realize, how important the subject matter is. They jump the hoops. They say, oh yeah, you want kids to have sex at a young age. So no, you need to teach them about themselves. This will resolve a lot of questions in the end, and a lot of issues that happen during the teen years. And another thing they don't bring up is, like, for example, hepatitis. One of the major problems, and this was in an article in 2014 that they discussed this about Australia, is dirty needles. You can also get these type of STIs through, drug behavior. And they don't discuss some of that. They don't discuss on that, basically, about that. The other half, and this is the other part of it that they don't discuss, is the rise on the rise on the STZ. And and this is, in the 80s, this is why the AIDS crisis went the way it did. It, and you say something, no, don't call it a gay disease or anything that near, but a lot of gay men didn't use condoms. It has nothing to do with being a teen. It has nothing to do with the audio. It's, preferences to people who don't use condoms. There are those out there, you could say, and not only gay, straight, that basically they may go out, get drunk, end up with somebody, in bed with somebody, and don't even use a condom because basically, their inhibitions are off. And they don't discuss that either. They want to push the emphasis that it's this one thing, that basically porn is the blame for the crisis. And it's not. It's multiple things that are out there that you don't discuss and that you don't want to resolve. And this is the problem these days, and this is around the world. They put blame where blame it shouldn't be, and not look at where it is. And this is the reason why the AIDS crisis went the way it was. They tried to blame homosexuality, that, they were calling it a homosexual disease, but it wasn't. It was a disease that was sexually transmitted. Unfortunately, at that time period, in the late 70s into 80s, gay men and sex, gay men had multiple partners. Yeah, of course it was going to spread the way it did, but it also did spread into the people who were straight as well. This was not something that was, the disease limited themselves to one particular group. Think about that for a minute. There are diseases that target a particular group because of their DNA, but not toward sexuality. That would be absurd. But these are the things that Australia doesn't want to talk about, that they want to throw under the rug because they're looking for censorship. They're looking to eliminate, to get rid of certain things. They're going to use every weapon in their arsenal, including the mainstream media, get people who claim that they're experts, but they're not. They're not really. They work in the industry, but you can't really. They only can give their opinion. They haven't done full research and had people back up that research. And this is what happens. This is the reason why we have the problems that we have today. Because, people will claim, certain things, and they don't realize who's the one spewing this out. Who are the ones that are spewing this out? You can laugh to the situation on climate change and not realize, they say, oh, we've had backup. All these scientists say that you're all in there. But a lot of the people that have put out the research and the surveys where they say, we've surveyed thousands of scientists and they all agree. And I realized that the surveys were created by people who weren't scientists, that have nothing in their field. One happened to be a cartoonist, believe it or not. Look it up. Really, you have people who are inexperienced in whatever subject matter that are going on and saying, well, this is what the cause of it. This is, well, where's your research? Where is your backup to that research that someone, that is a third party, it has nothing to do with this, that basically will look into your numbers and say, yes, this is what's happening. That's the major issue. We allow, mainstream media outlets to do this, whether it's in Australia or whether it's in the good old US of A. And I said this before, this is why CNN, they're changing over there. The heads now, David Zaslav, Warner, their Discovery, they're tired of the shit. And this is why all the firings that are happening. We've gotten to a point where our news media has become our propaganda. And that's not where it's supposed to be. Fair and balanced. Always remember that. Fair and balanced reporting. There's a reason why Fox says that. And I'm not saying Fox is perfect. Fox has its issues as well. And we got to get back to a point where news is news. You can have opinions like I have on this show. I have my opinions. But also, you have to look to the perspective that you have to report what is out there. And you have to respect who's reporting it. And properly. That's why people like Tim Pool, and Steven Crowder are criticized daily. But they're giving you the numbers. They're showing you where they're getting the numbers from. This show will show you. If we have graphs, we will show you the graphs. We have to. For all you know, I could be a nut. But if I show you the graphs and say, hey, listen, this is what it is, I'm trying to tell you what the situation is. And I know I do have some people who do watch in Australia, and I especially like to hear from them as well. So please feel free to comment below and tell me your thoughts to this whole situation. Because basically, this is going to continue on until we say, no, we need to stop this and basically get to the real core of the issue. Because if we don't get rid of the core of the issue, it's just going to get worse. Stop blaming boogeymen that don't exist. So, comment, subscribe, like, share, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye now.